everyone, how are we? 5 p.m, well, a few minutes past 5 now. Natasha Varagushin here. I have my page Tash Can Cook on Facebook. For anyone who doesn't follow me yet, you can head on over to Tash Can Cook and see all the things that I get up to. I haven't updated in a while, to be honest, because I've slowed right down with what I'm doing, but it's only temporary, which is good. I'm enjoying the slower pace of life at the moment and homeschooling the kids. Today was actually a pretty easygoing day, which was really nice. We've knocked off by 2:30. Yes. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Today I am going to be making unwrapped cabbage rolls. So this is inspired by a Polish dish, gołąbki, or gołąbki. I almost forgot how to say it. So gołąbki is normally a cabbage roll that's wrapped in a full cabbage leaf with mince mixture inside. Today I'm kind of taking the deconstructed route for this meal, only because I bought half a cabbage. It was a massive cabbage for just half, out at Lean and Green here in Warragul, and I made a massive pot of soup, which I ended up with so much that I had to freeze, because my brother was supposed to come back the next day to collect some, but he never did. But that's okay. He lives a good 50-minute drive away, and he was helping me with my PC, but that never happened. He came to fix it and couldn't install something. I don't know. I'm so bad with technology. Anyway, I'm rambling on here. So I ended up with this massive pot of beef and veggie stew or soup, and I only used a quarter of the cabbage. And I thought, what do I do with all this extra cabbage? I can't wrap proper leaves with it because it's only a quarter. And then I've got some beautiful grass-fed lamb mince from Halston Valley farm. So they do all grass-fed lambs and really lovely flavorful meat as well. So I thought, oh, why not? I've got all these Flavorite tomatoes as well, beautifully fresh, Trust tomatoes. So let's do a deconstructed cabbage roll. So let's get started. I'm just heating up my pan now. It's very quite simple. It's got the same sort of flavors, except we're using lamb today. Normally I would probably go with pork or chicken, turkey even, and traditionally they mix a lot of those. So they mix half pork and half chicken or turkey together for the Polish style cabbage rolls. But you can work with any meat you have. You can use beef, really quite versatile, whatever you've got. So I'm just heating up the pan, and from my beef soup that I did the other day, I actually skimmed off all the fat, and so I saved it in a little container, and that's the fat that I'm actually going to brown a lot of my veggies in today. So I mean, there's just so much flavor in this. So instead of using oils like your olive oil or vegetable oil or even butter, you can just use some fat that you've saved. You can freeze this as well. I've got quite a few containers of lard and fat that has rendered off from a lot of stews and soups that I've cooked before, bone broth especially. You'll end up with a layer of fat up the top, and I've got this really cool gadget I'll show you afterwards, which will help you to extract the fat. Anyway, I'm just going to use some of this in the pan. So what I have is just your basic aromatics. So you've got your onion, carrot, celery as the base. Normally you would probably find in a regular cabbage roll that these would be grated and incorporated into the mixture itself. I've also got some bacon. It's probably not very conventional, but I figured I might as well. I've got a little bit there. I'll use it. I don't want to put too much oil into this because the lamb itself has a decent fat content in it. So I don't want to add too much to it. Plus the bacon. A lot of fat tends to render out of that. I like to start with the bacon just to render out that fat. So I'll turn my heat up now. Really get this pan nice, hot and sizzling. You can see there's just a really light coating of oil or fat in the bottom of the pan, just to stop things from sticking. Just got some diced onion here. This was a fairly small onion, so I did two small ones. I'm actually guessing this is going to be a lot of food. Just for me and the kids. We'll probably be eating this for like the next week. So you can obviously have and lessen the amounts. It'll freeze perfectly well as well. So I'll probably make quite a few freezer meals out of this for us too. So I'm just cooking down the onion with some bacon at the moment. And I've got to say, this is one of my most favourite smells in the whole entire world. Like, they're just the aromatics from the onion and bacon cooking together. Just smells so nice. And yeah, I love it. So I reckon this cabbage, that half a head of cabbage that I got must have weighed at least 2 kilos. Because I think I weighed out the cabbage that I sliced up and there was over 1 kilo there for a quarter of a cabbage. Pretty crazy. So I'm trying to be inventive in different ways to use it. Might have to, I didn't even chop all of it up. There's still like a big chunk of it, so I might ferment that or make some pickles and some beetroot, or I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So then we can pop in some celery. So I'm only using this because I had some. Like, you don't have to put these ingredients in, but traditionally you have your carrot, onion, celery as a flavour base for a lot of soups and stews and sauces and that sort of thing. So I think it'll be a nice little addition just to flavour it really well. Also, I've got, I'm going to cook a cup of rice for the kids to have with this. I asked them if they wanted mashed potato or rice. They chose rice. So it's just 1 cup of rice to 1 cup of water. This is just medium grain rice, which is just a really nice sort of rice that goes well with almost all different types of cuisines. It doesn't have a distinctive flavour like basmati or jasmine. So yeah, it's a good all-rounder. just going to pop in some carrot. This was just one carrot diced up quite small. Now, if you wanted to keep this, say, keto friendly or low carb friendly, you can omit the carrot and just leave that out. Also, I just wanted to mention, I'm not seeing any comments coming up on my screen, so I do apologise if anyone has made a comment. I'm not ignoring you, I just can't see anything, nothing's coming up. My connection lately has just been really quite poor, so I do apologise. If anyone has commented, it's just that I can't see what you're saying. Sorry guys. But I do see there's about 10 watches at the moment, and a thumbs up. I got the thumbs up. So thanks for that, whoever that was. Oh, another one. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. There we go. So, and I love the colour combination actually between the carrot and the celery and the onion. You've got these beautiful colours which you can just see in the pan, and that aroma right now is just so lovely. So into this I'm just going to pop a couple of bay leaves. Now these bay leaves here, I've dried them out a little bit, but these are from the Warragul Community Garden. So they have this beautiful tree. So anytime I'm sort of in the area and I have a spare moment, I like to go down to the community gardens and pull a couple of weeds and pick a bay leaf or two to bring home, and I store that for when I need it. The community gardens there are a wonderful facility as well for us located in West Gippsland, and it's open to the public, so anyone can go in, volunteer for whatever you can, even if it's just 5 minutes of you know, trimming or pulling weeds or whatever it is. Just go in and say hello, have a chat to the people, the volunteers that are there as well, if you see anyone. I've just popped some diced garlic into this as well, so I'll stir that in now. But yeah, I find the gardens are such a valuable, it's such a valuable space which either not a lot of people know about, or it just gets forgotten about, which is a little bit sad. And I do admit I wish I could or had more time to volunteer more there, but I think if everyone just does what they can, it's a team effort, isn't it? So if you're ever in Warragul, just pop down and have a visit and have a look at the gardens. It's a really beautiful space. So far we've got some bacon, onion, celery, carrot, garlic, and a couple of bay leaves. I really wish I had some dill, to be honest, and I would have left the bay leaves out. So I'm changing the complete flavour profile of the traditional Polish gołąbki. It's spelt G-O-L-A-D-K-I, so I keep pronouncing it that way. It's gołąbki. Just turn down the rice because it's come up to a boil. So now that the water's boiling, you leave the lid on. I'm going to pop it on my smallest burner. 10 minutes and it's done. So all these veggies and the garlic is caramelizing beautifully, and this is where I'm going to pop this beautiful grass-fed lamb mince in from Holston Valley Farms, and they have some really lovely lamb packs available for sale, and excellent prices as well. So that's always a bonus. And supporting your local farmers, small guys, so important. So I think there was about 700 grams of mince in this, but you know, you can either use more or less, whatever you've got. And the good thing about this type of meal is that you can throw in random bits and pieces of what you have left over in your fridge. If you've got a couple of mushrooms, you can throw those in as well. Really quite simple and easy going. So at this point, I like to throw some salt in. I find if you're salting the meat after it's fully cooked, the flavour of the salt just doesn't absorb as well. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just how I feel. I like the salt to be incorporated into the meat. So I just like to put a bit of an even sprinkle all over. So that was about 2 teaspoons. So this really is a one skillet or one pot meal. If you had a slow cooker or an Instapot, instant cooker type of thing, you could definitely do it in that. You can brown your meat and veggies and put it all in, set it to slow. At the end of the day, it's done. You know, you don't have to stand at the stove doing. Oh, there we go. A couple of comments. Hi Mel, hi Meg. There we are. Yeah, so depending on your family's needs, your timing and time frame and that sort of thing, yeah, you definitely can just do it in an Instapot. So at this point, I'm going to add in some pureed tomatoes. You can use tin tomatoes, that's fine. You don't have to puree your own tomatoes. I just find it tastes fresher and nicer, so I enjoy doing it that way. So that was 4 cups, just over 4 cups, and I left a couple of bits chunky as well. So I pureed a heap of the Flavorite tomatoes and then just roughly chopped, I think it was 3 or 4 into large chunks as well. That way you get the texture of some nice bits of tomato as well. And so now you'll see that's going to cook right down. One thing I didn't prepare actually was the lid for this pot, so I'll have to apologise. You're going to hear me rummaging around in my cupboard in a sec trying to find the pot. And one thing I absolutely struggle with so much is arranging pot lids to stay nice and tidy. They just end up falling on everything and can be a bit of a struggle. I've got some pepper as well, which the kids are a bit funny with pepper, but if you're only adding a bit into it, I don't really notice it. And I'm actually going to add some cayenne pepper to this for me afterwards because I love my spicy and chili food. So after this is cooked, I have my own little cayenne pepper that I love to sprinkle on top. So also from my bone broth and soup the other day, I just froze some in just this reusable container. So I'm just going to add some of that into it. I don't know how big this container is. 250 grams, so maybe a cup, but it doesn't look quite like a cup. I'm going to say that's maybe half to 3/4 of a cup of broth. So you can use stock if you like, chicken stock, beef stock, vegetable stock, whatever you like, even water if you don't have any stock. There should be enough flavour happening in this that it won't matter too much if you just use plain water even. So now that you can see that's quite soupy and brothy, I've got some oregano from my garden which I've dehydrated here. So I'm going to give a nice sprinkle of oregano leaves into it. So traditionally I would have used dill instead of the bay leaves and oregano. So dill and parsley I would have put into it. I've got some parsley which I'll finish it off with afterwards. So a nice sprinkle of oregano, and oregano works so nice with lamb as well. So I thought that would be a good little addition. And I find once oregano's been dehydrated, the flavour intensifies so much. Yeah, I thought, Corinne, that 250 grams was a cup, but that doesn't seem to look like a cup. So I don't know. I think it might have been a bit less, but it doesn't matter too much anyway, the volume, because it will cook down, and you can reduce if you do find you've added too much liquid, too much tomato or whatever it is. Just keep it up on high. If you've got an instant cooker, take the lid off and it will reduce and thicken up as it cooks anyway. So next I'm just going to pop the cabbage in. So I've just shredded mine into sort of large-ish, like maybe like 2 centimetre strips, about that. Nothing too fine, but it's up to personal preference as well. If you wanted it a bit thinner, you could shred it thinner, or if you wanted to dice it into large chunks, you could do that instead. Completely up to you. So at this point, I'm just going to pop the lid on and let that cabbage wilt down a little bit and let that cook down, and then you'll just want to give it a bit of a stir just to coat all the sauce and everything through it. I'm going to grab that lid, so just bear with me a sec. There we are. So while that's cooking down, I'll show you my little contraption which I bought. So this here is a fat skimmer. So or your soup or stock with your meat bones or whatever it is, it's got like a strainer on the top. It's not a very big volume, it's a 4-cup volume, but I find if I just grab, say, another pot or something like that, and I strain it into there. I'll fill this with some water and I'll show you. It's kind of cool. So you'll see you've got your soup or your broth in there. The fat rises to the top, and then you push this little button thing here, and your soup and your broth comes out of the bottom while all the fat stays on the top. So that's a really cool kitchen gadget, and I try not to buy too many gadgets. Hi Matthew, how are you? Good to see you tuning in. Yeah, so I try not to buy too many kitchen gadgets because I find, where do you store it all? My cupboards are already full, pots and pans and every other gadget out there. So I actually got rid of my rice cooker for that reason. This can probably come off the heat now. I figured, why have a rice cooker when I can just use my saucepan? So that particular strainer though, the fat separator, is really, really quite handy. And I found that on eBay. Yes, it's quite amazing what you can find on eBay. So I might grab some tongs for this next part and give all of that cabbage a toss through the sauce. That's a kilo of cabbage and it's wilting down already so much. I probably could have added in the rest of the other cabbage too, but that's okay. So at this point, you would just cook it down to your preference. So if you like your cabbage soft, just cook it for a bit longer and cook it until it's quite softened. If you like it still very tender, crisp, all you need to do is just wilt it down for a few minutes like this, and it'll be done and still be nice and crunchy. But like if you're comparing it to guanki, for example, that is steamed either in a Dutch oven or something like that, and the cabbage leaves themselves are actually pre-cooked also. They're softened by boiling or steaming, so it is quite soft in texture. But yeah, you can adapt it to suit your own taste, time restraints, whatever it is. So you can see all that cabbage is wilted down now. You can leave the pot lid off for any extra liquid to cook right down. And at that point of when you are happy with how soft your cabbage is, turn the flame off and toss through some sour cream and sprinkle with some parsley. This is all the parsley I had left from my garden. It's all gone, but I noticed I like when things self-seed, so I just give the seed heads a good knocking and they just come back up again. So give me maybe another month and a bit and I'll have more parsley coming up, but that's the left of my parsley for this season. So that's pretty much it. I would dish that up with a bit of rice for the kids, put your cabbage roll mixture on top with some sour cream and parsley sprinkled on top, and that is done. I shall post a picture of the final result of it all put together. I think I want my cabbage cooked down just a teensy bit more, just to give it that more authentic cabbage roll texture. So there we go. See if I can move that camera for you to have a closer look at that mixture. Hang on. I'll flip it around. That might make things easier. There we go. So that, guys, is my deconstructed, unwrapped cabbage roll recipe. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you all again next Tuesday for another episode. Ciao!